The sign says, watch out for rattlesnakes. I guess watching out for rattlesnakes is a great way not to go off the sidewalk. Even on the sidewalk you could get rattlesnakes because they probably like the heat. Hello everybody, we are in almost the middle of nowhere in the desert. Actually, we're not in the middle of nowhere, but we are in Desert Hot Springs, and we are coming to see the Cabot Pueblo Museum. This is going to be one of the quirkiest houses, Pueblo style houses you have ever seen. You will not want to miss this adventure. So come along for the ride because it's going to be an interesting one. Okay, so Desert Hot Springs is about 15 miles east of Palm Springs. Pueblo style was very popular in the 20s and 30s. We can see the main house itself. Definitely Pueblo art style, very interesting. So we are now in the entrance of the home of Cabot Yerxa, who lived from 1883 to 1965. And this was known as the water room. And it was known as the water room because this is where he originally, I guess, dug his well to find water. He came here in 1913 on a burro, just like that, and he founded his first home, and he walked for a long time. According to this jug of water here, it says he walked 14 miles to find water, and there he is right there, Cabot Yerxa. Okay, so this would have been the entrance to the home when he first built it, and here it displays some of the tools that he used to build this place. This was all done by hand. He worked 15 minutes at a time because of the heat out here in the desert is all he could do. He worked in 15-minute intervals. And there's the original water jug. This is what he used to insulate his house. It was newspaper that he tarnished over, and this newspaper is from 1945. That's what you're seeing on the walls. To insulate the walls was newspaper from 1945. Here we're coming into the house itself, so let's check out more of these wonderful paintings. It was typical in those days to have a little storefront in the entrance to your home. Of course, being the only home around here, he would have had all the trade goods here, and definitely this would have been a trading post for him where he could trade things. Look at that California grizzly bear. That's a California grizzly bear there. That is a bear that no longer exists today. Just in memory, this is what's on our state flag here in California. Kind of crazy. In addition to selling stuff, he eventually turned this area into a museum, and he had a good rapport with the locals here, and he collected all sorts of local artwork. And so this is all the local artwork from the natives in this area. Before coming here to California, Yerxas were into sell a bunch of cigars from Cuba, and started a mail order business here where they would sell their cigars at 6 cents each. That's kind of a funny advertisement there. It says, "Get the habit, buy your cigars with Yerxa." And then down here, I find this very interesting. This is a chocolate vending machine. So you could put your penny or your nickel in there, turn the crank, and get your chocolate or your dental gum or your chiclets. That's what that is. Mr. Yerxa, Cabot, he got the deed to this place right before World War II. And then so he signed up in World War II. This is Cabot in his army uniform, but they pretty much signed the armistice for World War I right before he got deployed. And according to the narration, it says the only victim was his marriage. Unfortunately, his wife was not too keen on him going to war, and they divorced. But it's funny because over here, he got an invitation to the inauguration of Dwight David Eisenhower's presidential inauguration all these years later. And look, it's signed Mr. and Mrs. Cabot Yerxa, but that was after they had already divorced, so that was very interesting. Let's go over here and check out the kitchen. Kitchen has some more pictures. There's some hot springs photos from the 60s. Very interesting there. There's a little tortoise shell there in a homemade safe, so keep it safe. Interesting facts I just learned from the audio tour. So this kitchen has like a little interior roof right here. And what that is when people were walking upstairs, dust would come down here into the kitchen. And so you didn't want to be working on your food and have dust come down on your food. So he would have that little roof on in his kitchen. Kind of makes it look like a cafe, but it's actually so that it protects it from the dust getting on your food when you prepare it. And then over here, they have a newspaper from the day, which is from 1961. And they said that he liked to sit here and drink his coffee. And so that was the thing that he used to do. Fascinating how they would build like little shelves within the stone here. And also interesting over here, if you notice, there's only one spigot. And this goes to hot water only. Even though it says C on the top, this is hot water only because Mr. Cabot believed that hot water would cool and then become cold water, so you could always use it twice. So he only put in a hot water pipe here. So this is the dining room here. It's kind of small, just right outside of the kitchen. According to the text here, it says that in 1925, he went on like an art adventure trip out on to the Panama and to France. And he went to the same studio that Diego Rivera and Renoir went to. And so he kind of went into this painting mode where he did all these paintings back in 1925. So these are his paintings from back then. I think it's interesting. The dining room here has built-in tables, built-in chairs, I should say. The built-in benches, and then the table would be right here in the middle. This is a party line phone. It says we made it in 82 and we made it to last. 1982. And it did. It lasted all this time. This is the party line phone. Over here is the bathroom. That is like a very narrow bathroom right there. And I guess up this way.
As I mentioned before, Cabot divorced his first wife right after World War I was ending. Mostly because he was an adventurer and she was not. Cabot was still looking to share his life, though, with someone, and when he was 60 years old, he found his beloved Portia. On the outside, Portia and Cabot were very different. He was a rough man, and she was very frilly. But spiritually, they were both very much alike. In fact, they were both spiritualists and would regularly hold meetings in their home. Cabot built the second and third stories of the Pueblo mostly for Portia so she could have her own space to decorate, which was much more ornate than Cabot's austere approach downstairs in his living space.
Beautiful balcony views. Looks lovely up here. Look in this door. There's all the clothing that they would have had. Another sink upstairs, like another mini kitchen up here. That is very interesting. So this here is Portia's study. And according to this little note here, it says, "Tell Cabot I'm going to fix up our new apartment like a doll baby. That is the reason why I built the shack in the canyon." And so that's what she did. She made it a beautiful study room, complete with, looks like she was very into oriental design, like this straw hat here. Like most women of the time, they knew how to sew and to make their own dresses. She would make her own hats, so those hats were her hats that she designed. And she had some beautiful Chinese artwork on the wall. All sorts of stuff in the cabinets. Love that chair right there for That's like the chair if you have a big fluffy dress. You can sit in that type of a chair. She was very much into philosophy, into psychology, and so these are some of the books that she read. But she had a lot of books on a lot of different subjects. Looks like she had the Torah, Nowhere Else in the World, The Stars That Don't Twinkle, The Hypnotism Handbook, and The Count of Monte Cristo. So she had a bunch of different type of books, it looks like. So this statue here, well, this totem pole is called the Two-Faced White Man, and it was kind of a controversial totem pole made by this man named Simu, which was a local native here, local native chief, and he was a friend of Cabot. Cabot in his later years became very much an advocate for natives in the area, and so he put this here in his earthen room as a place of honor. But interesting, they have the trough there, and then right behind here is the fireplace, which is very interesting. The floors are earth floors here. He wanted to make it inviting for and feel the earth here. But over here, this is pretty cool.
This was Cabot's tiny bedroom on the first floor. The room was carved directly into the hillside, and according to Cabot, the coolest room in the house. He built a stone fireplace right next to his room, which was specifically designed so it could heat all the rooms in the Pueblo house. Cabot lived in his beloved Pueblo until he was 82 years old. His main source of income while he was living there was to give tours of his house and helping other resorts prospect for new water resources. When he died, Portia almost immediately left the Pueblo. She died 4 years later in a nursing home in Orange County, California. Being made mostly of dirt, the Pueblo fell quickly into disrepair. The city of Desert Hot Springs became concerned and was going to bulldoze everything, but luckily one of Cabot's younger friends, Cole Irond, found it and fixed the Pueblo so that other people could once again visit this amazing structure. Well, that was the tour of the inside of the Pueblo home, and there's actually a lot more to see outside of the Pueblo home. This video is getting kind of long, so I think I better cut it off here. If you're interested, please come back next week and we'll talk more about the Cabot Pueblo Museum and tour the outside of this wonderful home. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and we will see you in the next one.
And the cactus are in bloom right now, so it's beautiful back here.